welcome to the Parenting Roundabout podcast for the week of November 21st, 2022. I'm Catherine Aleko, and I'm here with Nicole Eridix.
Hello.
And Terry Morrow.
Hello.
Every week, we chat about what parents are talking, complaining, and obsessing about right now. This week, we're serving up some delicious holiday leftovers for your enjoyment. In this episode from November 2019, we kicked off a week of gratitude by extending thanks and shout-outs to all those people who have helped make our parenting journey just a little easier, from spouses and grandparents to pediatricians and carpool buddies. And maybe some of our thanks is sarcastic, but you know, that's the way we roll.
Today, we're thanking those who have helped us on our parenting journey. Is this supposed to be genuine thanks or sarcastic thanks? What's our tone here this week? Like, thanks a whole heck of a lot, or thanks for nothing. Or are we just genuinely calling out the people who've meant something?
I think we could do both.
We'll probably start out with good intentions, and it might turn.
Well, let me throw it to you then, Nicole, while I nurse some resentments and make a list and check it twice.
This is pressure. Okay. I'd like to send out a thanks to my parents and my in-laws who helped tremendously.
See, they would have been on my sarcasm list, so
Well, I have to be honest and say that, honestly, if it wasn't for my mom and my mother-in-law in the first days after my kids were born, that my children probably would have not survived. They were immensely helpful. And remember I was telling you the other week about my breastfeeding woes? Well, when I finally gave it all up, both of them were there with a bottle in hand and took over. So I could recuperate from my nightmare. So they were very instrumental in helping me keep my children alive. So I'll start with them.
Oh, that sounds good. Catherine, do you have somebody to genuinely thank in a heartfelt manner?
Well, yes. Right now I'm thinking more of like the present day versus the baby days. But I have to thank the other parents from, you know, the hockey moms, the skating moms, the drama club moms, the show choir moms, and dads, because there's no way that we could function without helping each other. And, you know, just the rides alone are critical, but also just like sharing information and, you know, what do you guys think about this? Or has anyone heard about that? And it's just really, really useful.
Yeah, that is important. You know what? I'll jump onto that when we're talking about parents and say thank you to a whole group of parents, most of whom I never met, but were essential to my early parenting days of kids adopted from Eastern Europe. There was a email list. This was back before there were Facebook groups. We had an email list of other parents of kids adopted from Eastern Europe. You know, the adoption agency was kind of, congrats, we don't know anything else, bye, everything will be fine. Give them a couple of weeks, they'll be all caught up. And the schools had no idea of the issues of kids adopted from Eastern European orphanages. They just knew, if they knew anything about kids speaking English as a second language, it was only, you know, people who had that language spoken in their home. They had no ideas about those language issues. They had no ideas about emotional issues. You know, adoption in the same country is very different than being a 4-year-old leaving the only home you ever known and going off with strangers. So to find this group of, I don't know how many people there were all together, it was pretty big, who were generally going through the same things, and you could say, hey, I am seeing this, anybody else, and you could compare notes, or, hey, this is my kid's issue, where is your kid in school if you have the same issues, and get advice about that, and just be able to vent, and get it, you know, referrals to books or to professionals to contact. It was so invaluable, and it just really made all the difference, and just in terms of not being alone.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. Also was an early introduction to the way that large groups of people who don't see each other in real life can be mean to each other. So that's, you know, I see things on the internet going now and go, yep, I remember flame wars in this parenting group. Even then, I think it's just a thing of you're in your pajamas, you get up, you turn on your computer, and somebody's yelling at you. You have an outside reaction to that. It feels like more of an attack than maybe it is. But in general, it was really wonderful. I met some of them in real life, but most of them were just correspondence. The group broke up at some point. I don't know where most of them ended up. Occasionally I see one on the internet somewhere, but thank you all. That was amazingly helpful and unexpected and something that could only have happened in our current computer age, even in the early days thereof.
Right.
Yeah, quite critical, isn't it?
It really is, and it's so hard to find. If you have a parenting situation that you're not going to be able to find people going through the same experience at your church or in your neighborhood or at your school, it's so isolating and scary. So that was awesome. Yay, internet. It wasn't even really the internet at that point. It was email.
Right.
Remember the days of email lists?
Listserv.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you could get the digest, so you just get it all in one big dose, or you could get it throughout your day, depending on how, excitable you were. But that's great.
Yeah. And also, actually, I want to give a shout out to my kids' daycare people because they were all very, very good to my kids. And so when I had to go back to work full time and drop my kids off at 6:30 a.m. and pick them up at 5.
Yeah.
I knew that they were well cared for.
Yeah.
That meant a lot.
Yeah.
In addition to, my friends who have treated them well over the years and treated them like their own kids, which has always been nice. And, takes a village to raise a child kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have friends like that, too, that I'm very thankful for, who, would travel with us or would be available to come hang with the kids if we needed them, even though they don't live all that close by. They were still always there. It was just, I don't know how we would have gotten along without that. We needed that second string parent unit.
Yeah, when you don't have family nearby, you got to depend on local friends and neighbors and things, and it really makes a huge difference.
Yes. And if the family nearby regularly raises your blood pressure, it's good to have a vent button.
Which I guess we got to thank our husbands, right? I mean,
yes, absolutely.
Part of this picture as well.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, there's just things that they are better at, and they just bring a different set of skills.
Oh my gosh.
So
not wrong. I was yesterday had another call from Kristen trying to talk her off the ledge, not literally, but just kind of trying to reel her back into reality and try and settle her down. But I was just so caught up in it emotionally, and I texted my husband. I'm like, dude, you got to help me out.
Right. I need help.
It's your turn.
Yeah.
And so I hung up and he called her, and we just kind of went back and forth. And then, so we were finally able to bring her around. And I felt like it was like, I totally needed that other point of view and that other advice. I just was I couldn't even think. I was just so full of emotion.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good to have another pair of eyes looking at the thing and either confirm what you're feeling or to, say, offer a different view, or just to watch 70s detective shows until you burn yourself out. Right. One way or the other.
Just the physical presence.
Yeah.
Right.
While the TV is on.
Is there anybody that you are thinking about, like, they need a big thanks?
The sarcastic thanks that Terry mentioned.
Yeah.
Like the grade 3 teacher that told me my daughter was going to fail. And that she wouldn't amount to much. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I had one of those too. And I still yell at that person in the shower. Even though superficially her prediction turned out to be correct, but it's not in the way she meant it, I know. And I still want to yell at her for putting, setting my mind in a certain way when it didn't need to be. What the heck? Why do people say those things?
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Thanks for nothing.
And not teachers. I mean, hello.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. That was tough. That's somebody I always think of when I think of resentments. And various child study team people who could easily have made things better and did not. Just 'cause, I guess. Maybe because they were told to, or maybe because they didn't like me, or maybe because they knew everything, but they did not. So thanks for nothing from them, too.
Mm-hmm.
But,
yeah.
But, in terms of genuine appreciation, I do also, I could thank my first pediatrician who let me sit in a waiting room for an hour before my kids were ever seen, by which point their behavior was terrible, for showing me what not to accept. Yeah. But I do want to shout out the pediatrician my kids had through most of their lives, who was not that way and who saw us pretty promptly and genuinely knew my kids, and I feel like she knew me also. And while I sometimes could see by her facial expressions that she didn't buy everything I was selling, she at least pretended to, and would generally do, take my word for things that I knew more about really than she did. So I never knew how valuable she was until my kids aged out. And I still wanted to call her. I did one time. My daughter in her mid-20s was having some issues, and I just called and talked to the nurse at her pediatrician's office, and she said, well, we can't do anything for you because there's laws, but here are some ideas I have. So just that connection with the practice, with nurses who see your kid every time, and a doctor. We had went to a practice that had a single doctor, where our original pediatrician had a bunch, so you never knew who you were going to see. So, Dr. Papadopoulos, I salute you. You rock. I'm sure you don't want to take 20-somethings, 30-somethings maybe. Expand your practice a little bit, babe.
The practice we go to is a family practice, so we all of us go there, and it's really nice that the doctor has had the same nurse the entire time that we've been going to.
Yeah.
So, you'll see like a medical assistant also, but the main nurse, who's really, working in partnership with the doctor, she's known us, for 15 years. So it's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. That's to not have to explain yourself and your children every single time to a different person is, especially if your kids are complex. But I got to think any kid is just invaluable,
Yeah.
Thanks to them.
That was one of the saddest days of my life, is when my daughter aged out of her pediatrician.
So sad, isn't it?
It really is. And even though she said that she'd see my daughter through her college years, Kristen moved. So
and then it's like you lose contact with those people too. I'm not going to see you again.
Yeah.
Well, we managed to keep it pretty sincere almost the entire time.
In the spirit of this holiday. That's it for today's round one. Tune in tomorrow for our all-new, not a rerun, entertainment-themed round two. And later in the week for reheated episodes on holiday customs COVID showed us we could live without, changing family traditions, and holiday shopping in the time of supply chain challenges. We're always interested in what you have to say, so drop us a comment on our website, our Facebook page, or Twitter, where you'll find us at Roundabout Chat.